Well, because my heart went out to Diana, because I could see how lost she was. I could see how cruelly she was being treated by the royal family.
And the duty.
As Diana's butler and footman to the Queen, he served the royal family for over 20 years. Early on a Sunday morning in Paris, Princess Diana, only 36, tragically died in a car crash in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Over time, doubts emerged, questioning if her death was truly an accident or if darker forces were at play. Recently, startling revelations from Diana's former butler, Burrell, have reignited these suspicions. What if these new claims are connected to the huge announcement the royal family just made an hour ago? The truth about Princess Diana's death is more shocking than we ever imagined. Burrell was much more than just an employee. He was a close confidant to Princess Diana. He worked for her from 1987 until the day she died, giving him a unique view of her private life and the many pressures she faced. Over the years, Burrell has shared his insights through books and interviews. However, his latest claims are particularly unsettling. He suggests that Diana's death might have been a carefully planned act by the very institutions that were supposed to protect her. What Burrell reveals next could shake the foundations of the British monarchy. The commonly accepted story is that Diana and her companion, Dodi Fade, were trying to escape from aggressive photographers when their driver, Henri Paul, lost control of the car and crashed. Investigations concluded that Henri Paul, who had alcohol in his system, was mainly to blame for the accident. But from the beginning, there were whispers of foul play. Diana herself had predicted her death in a car crash in a letter written months before the incident. Initially, many dismissed this as paranoia caused by the constant media attention she faced. But now, Burrell's recent statements are making people think twice. He recalls many times when Diana spoke about her fears for her safety. She often worried that there were people in the royal circle who wished her harm. Burrell remembers Diana calling herself a lamb to the slaughter, a phrase he once thought was just an exaggeration. Now, he sees it as a sign of her deep vulnerability. Burrell goes even further, claiming he has proof that Diana's death was not a random accident but a well-planned act. He suggests that high-ranking officials might have used clever tactics to make the crash look like an accident. He even hints that Henri Paul, the driver, may have been manipulated or forced into playing a part in this tragic event. But this wasn't the worst part. If Burrell's claims are true, it means that Diana, one of the most beloved figures of the 20th century, wasn't taken by chance or outside enemies. Instead, she might have been targeted by people from within her own circle. This would suggest a deep and troubling corruption within the establishment she was once a part of. Burrell suggests that those responsible had their reasons, mostly centered on keeping power and control. Diana, especially in her final years, became more outspoken on several important issues, like her campaign against landmines and her support for people living with AIDS. Her relationship with Dodi Fade, a wealthy Egyptian film producer, also raised many eyebrows. Her growing independence and willingness to speak out on sensitive topics was seen by some as threats to the traditional image of the British monarchy. As Burrell points out, Diana's actions and choices could have been seen as destabilizing by those who valued the monarchy's image and stability above all else. Her genuine desire to make a positive difference in the world might have been viewed as a danger by those clinging to power, leading them to take extreme steps to silence her. This is a chilling thought, the idea that her devotion to important causes may have ultimately led to her tragic end. But here's where it gets even more troubling. Burrell's statements suggest a level of deceit and cover-up that is hard to comprehend. If what he says is true, it could mean that some very powerful people went to great lengths to hide the truth. The idea that Diana's life might have been cut short by those closest to her paints a haunting picture of betrayal and intrigue within the highest ranks. Burrell has recently suggested that Diana's tragic death was not just an accident but possibly a planned act. He hints that the media, often blamed for the car chase that led to her death, might have been used as part of a larger scheme. This idea suggests that the press may have been manipulated, knowingly or unknowingly, to play a role in a plan that ended with the fatal crash. It adds another layer to the already complicated relationship between Diana and the media, a relationship full of both intense attention and exploitation. Over the years, many theories have surfaced about what really happened on the night Diana died. Some have suggested Secret Service involvement, while others have hinted at possible orchestration by the royal family. But Burrell's perspective, given his close relationship with Diana, brings a new weight to these discussions. Even though many of these theories were dismissed in the past due to a lack of solid evidence, Burrell now claims to have proof that could reopen these questions. If Burrell's claims are true, Diana's death wouldn't be the first time in history when someone seen as a threat to those in power faced serious consequences. What makes Diana's case unique is the doubt that still surrounds it despite the explanations given at the time. The idea that there might be a hidden truth beneath the official story makes us question what we think we know about history and who gets to write it. For those who knew Diana, Burrell's claims are particularly troubling. If he is right, it would mean Diana's fears about her safety were real and justified. It also raises questions about the people around her at the time. If Burrell's statements are accurate, some within her circle might have been aware of the threats but chose to stay silent. But this wasn't the only unsettling thought. The idea of a cover-up or conspiracy adds another layer of sadness to Diana's story. It creates an even greater need to re-examine what really happened. Although earlier investigations, like the one conducted by the Metropolitan Police in Operation Paget, concluded that Diana's death was a tragic accident, Burrell's new allegations suggest there could be more to discover. Any fresh investigation would need to be extremely thorough and unbiased to uncover the real truth. Meanwhile, Burrell's words serve as a powerful reminder of the risks involved when challenging powerful organizations. Diana, often called the People's Princess, was loved worldwide for her caring nature and her dedication to important causes. She stood up for what she believed in, such as bringing attention to the dangers of landmines and helping people with AIDS. While these actions made her many fans, they also made her a challenging figure for those who preferred the status quo. As we uncover Diana's personal struggles, we see how they fueled her humanitarian efforts and shaped public perceptions. Princess Diana's marriage to Prince Charles in 1981 was first seen as a fairy tale, but over time, the cracks began to show. What seemed like a perfect union slowly revealed a much less happy reality. Their marriage was marked by infidelity and unhappiness, and the media covered every detail. This public attention cast a shadow over Diana's personal life. She openly struggled with mental health issues like bulimia and talked honestly about her emotional challenges, which only made her relationship with the press and public more difficult. Despite these struggles, Diana built a strong public image by supporting causes she truly cared about. She became a champion for issues like fighting AIDS and advocating for a ban on landmines. As she grew more independent and spoke out on sensitive political matters, tensions started to rise with the royal family and other powerful groups in Britain. Her formal separation from Prince Charles in 1992 and their divorce in 1996 were major turning points. They freed her from some of the restrictions of royal life, allowing her to speak her mind even more, moving further away from traditional royal expectations. During this period of change, Diana began to feel like she was being targeted and worried about her safety. Paul Burrell, her butler during these challenging years, was one of the few people who stayed close to her. Recently, Burrell has come forward to say that Diana's fears were based on real threats, not just her imagination. He claims that Diana believed she was being watched, that her phone might have been tapped, and that some people in high places saw her as a threat who needed to be silenced. According to Burrell, these fears were not mere paranoia but a realistic view of the dangers she faced. But this wasn't the only concern. Burrell's claims suggest that there were indeed plans to eliminate Diana and make her death look like an accident. This idea aligns with Diana's own fears. She had even written about her belief that she would die in a tampered car crash in a letter known as the Mishkin Note, which has become well known since her death. Adding to the suspicion, Burrell has also claimed that Henry Paul, the driver on the night Diana died, might have been forced into playing a role in the tragedy. Official reports say that the crash happened because Henry Paul was drunk, but Burrell suggests that he might have been deliberately set up. This idea supports what some conspiracy theorists have believed for years, that there's more to the story than what we've been told. They point to things like the unusually high levels of carbon monoxide found in Paul's blood, which some believe could indicate foul play. But this wasn't the worst part. Burrell also hints at the possible involvement of high-level officials, perhaps even British intelligence agencies like MI6. These agencies are known for their secretive operations and might have viewed Diana as a risk to national security or the stability of the monarchy. If they did see her as a threat, they might have taken extreme actions to remove that threat. If these agencies were involved, it raises even more troubling questions about the British government's role in this event. If Diana's death was planned from within, it could mean that key figures in the government, maybe even those at the very top, were aware of or approved this plan. This paints a picture of deep corruption and a breakdown of ethics within the country's power structures. Throughout history, the British monarchy has been fiercely protected, sometimes at a great cost. Against this backdrop, Princess Diana stood out as someone who didn't always follow the rules, making her a target for those who saw her as a threat. Her relationship with Dodi Fayed, the son of Egyptian billionaire Mohammed Al Fayed, added even more tension. Diana's choice to be with a man who was not British and who was also Muslim troubled some people within royal circles, affecting her position and possibly creating a sense of urgency to control her actions. Paul Burrell, Diana's former butler, has recently suggested that her relationship with Dodi might have been a key reason for what led to her death. The idea that Diana might marry Dodi and have children who would be part of the royal family was unacceptable to some. It touched on sensitive issues like race, religion, and the very identity of the British monarchy. If what Burrell is saying is true, it could mean that Diana was seen as a threat not just because of her independence or activism, but also because of her personal choices. But this wasn't the only thing raising eyebrows. The role of the media in Diana's final moments has been a hot topic for a long time. Many blame the paparazzi's relentless chase for the crash that ended her life, but Burrell suggests there might have been more to it. He believes that the media could have been used as part of a bigger plan. This adds another layer to the story, showing the press not just as aggressive photographers but possibly as tools in a larger scheme. The media both helped make Diana a global icon and invaded her privacy, a complicated relationship that, according to Burrell, might have played a part in her tragic end. If Burrell's claims are correct, they bring up big questions about how power is used in societies that claim to be fair and open. The idea that powerful people or groups could work together to get rid of someone they saw as a threat suggests a frightening level of power misuse. It makes us wonder if there are enough checks and balances in place to stop such abuse in a democratic system. The public's reaction to these claims has been mixed. Some people find it hard to believe, while others are shocked and horrified. The fact that different theories about Diana's death have continued for so long shows that many people are still uneasy with the official explanation. Diana was loved by many, and the idea that she might have been betrayed by those close to her feels like a deep betrayal to those who admired her. But this wasn't the end of the story. Burrell's claims have reopened old debates and made people rethink what happened on that tragic night in 1997. Beyond the conspiracy theories, it's important to remember that Diana was a mother. Her death left Princes William and Harry without their mom, a loss that has clearly shaped their lives and their roles within the royal family. The renewed interest in Diana's death, sparked by Burrell's claims, brings new challenges for the monarchy, which usually operates in a world of tradition and secrecy. With recent events like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's departure from royal duties and their public statements, the monarchy is under even more scrutiny. Burrell's claims could add to the public's doubts about the relevance and actions of the royal family in today's world. Now let's explore the complex relationship between the monarchy and British society to understand the broader impact of Diana's legacy. To understand Burrell's recent claims, we first need to look at the role of the British monarchy in society. The monarchy is not just a symbol, it is a key part of British life, closely connected to the government, military, and intelligence services. It represents tradition, stability, and national pride, but it has also had to change and adapt to stay relevant in today's fast-changing world. Over the years, the monarchy has faced many challenges, from political crises to personal scandals, and has often used strong measures to protect its image and influence. Princess Diana's rise in the 1980s and 90s came during a time when the royal family was under a lot of pressure. The old-fashioned image of the monarchy was clashing with what the public wanted in a time when the media had a huge influence. Diana brought a fresh, warm, and friendly presence to the royal family. She was open, relatable, and could connect with everyday people, offering a new kind of royalty that was more approachable. However, this made some within the royal circle uneasy. As Diana became more independent, especially after her separation and divorce from Prince Charles, she started speaking out on controversial issues like banning landmines, supporting AIDS patients, and discussing mental health and domestic violence. These actions were celebrated by many but seen as risky by others. This wasn't the only problem. Diana was becoming more than just a princess. She was turning into a global icon, and that could have been seen as a threat to the monarchy's authority. Her relationship with Dodi Fayed, a Muslim Egyptian, added another layer of complexity. For some, the idea of Diana marrying Dodi challenged the traditional Christian image of the British monarchy. If Burrell's claims are true, it is possible that Diana's growing independence and her relationship with Dodi were seen as reasons to remove her from the picture. Burrell suggests that some powerful people thought of Diana as a problem that needed to be managed or even eliminated to protect the monarchy and its interests. The idea that intelligence agencies might have been used to deal with Diana is not as far-fetched as it seems. These agencies have often taken extreme actions to protect what they see as national security. During the Cold War, for example, they carried out secret missions, including assassinations, to protect national interests. It is not impossible to imagine that they might have been involved in a plan against Diana if they believed she was a threat. One of the most unsettling parts of Burrell's claims is his belief that Princess Diana knew she was in danger. She had shared her fears with Burrell and others, but at the time, many dismissed them. Now her worries seem strangely accurate. The letter where she predicted her death in a planned car crash has become a key piece in many theories about what happened to her. Burrell argues that this letter wasn't just the thoughts of a nervous person but a real sign that she understood the serious threats she faced. The idea that Diana had a sense something was being planned against her makes us think differently about her relationships with the people around her. If what Burrell says is true, then some people close to her might have been involved in these plans or at least knew she was in danger. This casts a dark shadow over the royal household and raises tough questions about the loyalty and honesty of those who were with Diana in her last months. Burrell's claims have bigger consequences than just inside the British establishment. Diana was loved all over the world, and the idea that her life ended not by accident but through a deliberate act by those who should have kept her safe is a shocking betrayal that many people find hard to accept. It could show a deep level of corruption and misuse of power. The public's reaction to Burrell's statements has brought back many of the theories that have been around since Diana's death in 1997. Some of these theories suggest the involvement of MI6, while others hint at a plan by the royal family itself. With someone so close to Diana now making these strong allegations, even people who were skeptical before are beginning to think again. As people consider the possible truths Burrell has shared, there is a growing call for a new investigation into Diana's death. Past investigations said the crash happened because of a mix of reasons, like the driver Henri Paul's drinking and the aggressive behavior of the paparazzi. However, Burrell's claims suggest there might be more to the story. A new investigation would need to be completely open and fair to find out what really happened. The impact of such an investigation could be huge. If Burrell's claims are proven true, it would support those who have doubted the official story for years and could seriously shake up the British establishment. Finding out that members of the royal family or government were involved in a plot to kill Diana would challenge the trust people have in these important institutions, possibly leading to a crisis of confidence in both the monarchy and the government. If wrongdoing is uncovered, it could cause serious damage to the royal family, which relies on public support to keep its position. The British government, closely tied to the monarchy, would also face intense scrutiny, and there could be big political consequences. Globally, the effects would be even more significant. Diana was an icon around the world, and if it were found that her death was arranged by the British establishment, it could lead to international anger and demands for justice, possibly putting a strain on diplomatic relations. What if uncovering the truth changes our view of the monarchy forever? Do you think institutions should always be held accountable? Like, comment, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content.